Jnanakosha, Puranas.
सर्गच्च प्रतिसर्गच्च वंशो मन्वन्तराणि च वंशानुचरितं चैव पुराणं पञ्चलक्षणम्.
Kurma Purana. The Samudra Manthana story is given in great detail even in Ramayana and Mahabharata. As for Lakshmi, some of the Puranas state that she was born as the daughter of Khyati and the sage Bhrigu. She was then married to Vishnu, but the demons defeated the gods and Indra. The sage Durvasa therefore cursed Lakshmi that she would have to live in the ocean, and when the ocean was churned, Lakshmi emerged yet again. Indra, the other gods, and the sages were charmed at Lakshmi's beauty when she appeared. Who is this wonderful goddess? They asked. Vishnu. This is Lakshmi, replied Vishnu. She is also known as Shakti. It is with her help that I delude the universe and its inhabitants with my illusions. It is Lakshmi who gives me all my powers, although she is no different from me in essence. Vishnu then proceeded to tell the gods and the sages the story of Indrajumna. Indrajumna. Many years ago, there was a king named Indrajumna. He ruled the world well, and when he died, was reborn as a Brahman. The Brahmanas constitute the first of the four classes. Their primary duties are to study the Vedas and perform sacrifices. As a Brahmana, Indrajumna observed religious rites and meditated. He also started to pray to the goddess Lakshmi. When Lakshmi appeared, Indrajumna begged of her, "Please tell me about yourself. Please give me insight into what constitutes true knowledge. Even the gods and the sages are unable to comprehend my true nature," replied Lakshmi. "I am Vishnu's illusions, and there is no difference between him and me. As for knowledge, it is beyond my powers to grant you that. You will have to pray to the great Vishnu himself." Having said this, Lakshmi disappeared, and Indrajumna started to pray to Vishnu. Several years passed, but Indrajumna continued to meditate. Finally, Vishnu appeared and instructed Indrajumna on the path of true knowledge. "What did you tell Indrajumna?" asked the gods and the sages. "What was this wonderful knowledge?" "I will repeat it for your benefit," replied Vishnu. Since Vishnu repeated his teachings while in the form of a turtle of Kurma, these sacred words are known as the Kurma Purana. There are many subjects that Vishnu's instructions covered. But let us first start with the concept of Varna Ashra Dharma. Dharma means righteousness, and these precepts lay down the fundamental principles of righteous conduct. This is typified in the system of four Varnas, classes, and four Ashrama, stages of life. Varnashrama Dharma. Vishnu said that before creation began, there was only water in the universe, and Vishnu slept on these waters. When it was time for creation to begin, Brahma emerged from Vishnu's body, but Shiva emerged from Vishnu's anger. Lakshmi too was created from Vishnu's body and took her place by Vishnu's side. Brahma told Vishnu, "Please use this goddess to delude the beings when I will create. Tell her to sow the seeds of illusions in their minds. Please tell her to make the righteous prosper." Vishnu complied. He requested Lakshmi, "Please delude and destroy God, demons, and humans who are about to be created. But please leave the righteous alone and make them prosper. I will tell you how to know The righteous, they are those that follow the precepts of Varna Ashrama Dharma. The Brahmanas constitute the first of the four classes. Brahma created 9 sons from his mental powers. Their names were Marichi, Bhrigu, Angira, Pulasya, Pulaha, Kratu, Daksha, Atri, and Vasistha. These sons became sages and they were the first Brahmanas. They were created from Brahma's mouth. There are 6 types of action that are recommended for Brahmanas. These are Yajna, performing sacrifices, Yajna, acting as a priest of the sacrifices, Dana, donation of alms, Pratigraha, receiving gifts, Adhyapana, teaching, and Adhyayana, studying. A Brahmana who performs these tasks well attains the wonderful place known as Prajapatya. The Kshatriyas constitute the second of the 4 classes. They were created from the Brahma's arm. The duties of Kshatriyas include Dana, Adhyayana, and performing yajnas, but their primary duties are to take up arms and fight. It is their job to punish the evil and protect the good. A Kshatriya who performs this task well attains Indra's residence of Indraloka. The Vaishyas constitute the third of the 4 classes. They were created from the Brahma's thighs. Like the Kshatriyas, the Vaishyas can also donate alms, study, and perform sacrifices. But their primary duty is agriculture. In many other Puranas, trade and animal husbandry are mentioned in addition to agriculture. A Vaishya who performs this task well gets to live with Vayu and god of the wind. The Shudras constitute the last of the 4 classes. They were created from Brahma's feet. Their primary duty is to serve the other 3 classes. In addition, a Shudra can adopt artisanship as an occupation. A Shudra who performs these tasks well will live with the Gandharvas, singers of heaven. Generally speaking, all 4 classes have to observe the religion that is prescribed in the Vedas. There are various other Shastras that circulate on earth, but many of them are against the Vedas. The religion that is prescribed in such anti-Vedic texts must not be followed. Only sinners follow such religions, and they are doomed to eternal damnation. But today, the Varna Ashrama is declining world over. We don't consider one caste on the other. All are human beings, and human beings have the same respect and equal opportunities and equal rights and duties. There are 4 ashramas, stages of life. The first one is brahmacharya, celibate studentship. The primary duties of a person who is in this stage of life are studying the Vedas and serving one's guru well. He has to live on alms that are obtained through begging. When this stage of life is over, there are 2 options that are available to the individual. In rare instances, he may desire to devote the rest of his life to studying and meditation. Such a person is known as Naishikita. More commonly, individuals wish to step into the next stage of life. An individual who does so is known as an Upakurvana. The second stage of life is Grihastha. A householder's primary duties are serving guests, performing sacrifices, donating alms, worshipping the gods, and keeping the sacred fire burning in the house at all times. In cases where the householder is absent from the house, these functions are to be performed by his wife or son, or even by his priest. A householder must not also forget to study a little bit of the Vedas every day. The householder stage is superior to the other 3 stages of life. A reason in that The alms provided by a householder are the means of sustenance for individuals who are in the other three stages of life. A householder may be one of two types. He may be a sadhaka, in which case his chief obsession is that of satisfying his friends and relatives. Alternately, there may be a householder who is udasina. This means that he is not really interested in his wife. His sons are in the acquisition of material wealth. His chief obsession is that of being freed from the bonds of the world. The third stage of life is vanaprastha, forest dwelling stage. Such a person retires to the forest and lives on fruits and roots. He studies the Vedas, performs tapasya, and observes religious rites, but one should never embark on a forest dwelling stage unless one's mind is ready for it. This also means that one must have had sons. Without sons to carry on the line, it is not recommended that a householder venture out on the forest dwelling stage. There are two types of forest dwellers. The first type consists of individuals who primarily devote themselves to worshipping the gods and performing religious ceremonies. Such an individual is known as tapasya because he does some tapasya. But there are individuals who devote themselves entirely to meditation. Such a person is known as sannyasika, since there is very little of difference between him and a sannyasi. The fourth and final stage of life is sannyasa. Such individuals spend all their time in meditating. They beg food for a living. It is not proper to become a hermit unless one's mind has achieved detachment from the world. There are two types of hermits. The first type consists of those who are trying to realize the true nature of Atman. Such a person treats all other individuals as he would treat himself and is known as a yogi. But there are also hermits who go through intense meditation so as to attain the supreme wisdom. Such a person is known as paramestical. There are various other traits that are demanded by the righteous way of life. One must forgive and display pity. One must not be jealous and must be ready to sacrifice one's own selfish interests. One must be truthful, practice non-violence, and learn to control the senses. One must also visit tirthas. It is also important to realize that one does not perform actions for the sake of the fruits of the actions. The fruits of all actions vest with the Brahman. In fact, it is a gross misconception to think that the specific action is being performed by an individual. All actions are performed by the Brahman. The ordinary human being is merely an instrument. As long as this realization is missing, an individual is ignorant and is doomed to the shackles of worldly bonds. Creation. Vishnu next narrated to the gods and the sages the history of creation. The history of creation. In the beginning, the Brahman was everywhere. The Brahman had no form, but nor was it without form. It had no beginning and no end. It had no traits, but nor was it without traits. The Brahman is impossible to describe a sense or a see. Brahma, Vishnu and Shiva are derived from the Brahman. Brahma performs the functions of a creator, Vishnu that of a preserver, and Shiva that of a destroyer. When it was time for creation to begin, the Brahma created water throughout the universe. Before that, there was nothing. In the water there appeared a golden egg. The egg grew in size, and Brahma, the creator, appeared inside the egg. Everything that there is in the universe was already there in embryonic form inside the egg. There were gods, the demons, humans, the suns, the moon, the stars, the planets, and the wind. The word Garbha means womb, and since Brahma originated from inside a golden egg, he is known as Hiranyagarbha. Brahma was the first being to be created. He had 4 faces, he had no birth in the real sense of the term. He is therefore also referred to as Aja. It is also true that he created himself. It is because of this that Brahma is known as Swayambhu. Brahma was to be the lord of all the subjects who were going to be born. Thus Brahma acquired the name of Prajapati. To appreciate how creation took place, it is first necessary to have some conception about the nature of time. A digression on time. The smallest unit of time is a nimesha. 15 nimeshas make one kasta. 30 kastas are one kala, and 30 kalas constitute one muhurta. There are 30 muhurtas in a span of day and night. 30 such ahoras make up a month. There are 2 pakshas in every month. 6 months constitute an ayana and 2 ayanas a year. There are thus 12 months in every year. The names of the ayanas are Uttarayana and Dakshinayana. While humans pass through Uttarayana, the ghosts pass through only one day. Similarly, and the gods pass through only one day. Similarly, when humans pass through Dakshinayana, the gods pass through merely one night. 1 year for humans is equivalent to a time span of 1 day and 1 night for the gods. 12,000 years of gods make one Mahayuga. This is subdivided into 4 yugas. The names of these eras are Satya Yuga or Krita Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. Satya Yuga has 4,000 years, Treta Yuga 3,000, Dwapara Yuga 2,000, and Kali Yuga 1,000. This adds up to 10,000 years. But there are also periods that join 2 yugas. Sandhyamsha. Satya Yuga has a Sandhyamsha of 400 years, Treta Yuga of 300, Dwapara Yuga of 200, and Kali Yuga of 100. There will be therefore 700 additional years between Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, 500 years between Treta Yuga and Dwapara Yuga, and 200 years Kali Yuga of 100. There will be therefore 700 additional years between Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga. These are 2,000 additional years, and when added up to the earlier figure of 10,000 make up 12,000 years. There are a little over 71 manvantaras in each Mahayuga. Each manvantara is a time period that is ruled over by a Manu. The first Manu in the present Kalpa was Swayambhu Manu, and there were several other Manus after him. Each Kalpa in fact passes through one of Brahma's days, and there are 14 manvantaras in a Kalpa. Stated differently, there are 1,000 Mahayugas in every Kalpa. 360 Kalpas constitute one of Brahma's years. 100 times this time period is known as a Pararadha. At the end of this period, the 12 universe is destroyed, and Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are also destroyed. At the end of the destruction, creation starts afresh, and this creation is known as Sarga. There is small process of destruction that takes place at the end of every Kalpa. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva are not destroyed, but everything else is. The creation that comes at the end of this minor destruction is known as Pratisarga. The present Kalpa is known as Varaha Kalpa. The one that preceded it was known as Padma Kalpa. Why is the present Kalpa called Varaha Kalpa? The gods and the sages asked Vishnu. Vishnu told them the story of his boar incarnation. The boar incarnation, a Varaha, is a boar, and the boar incarnation is usually catalogued as the third of Vishnu's 10 incarnations. When the universe was submerged in water after the destruction that came out at the end of Padmakalpa, Vishnu slept on the waters. Thus he slept for 1,000 Mahayugas. Since the word Nara means water and Narayana means Ayana means resting place, Vishnu is also referred to as Narayana. Brahma decided to start creation afresh but discovered that the earth was submerged in water. How would his creation survive if there was no earth? He therefore requested Vishnu to bring the earth up from under the water. Vishnu adopted the form of a boar and went to the underworld. He discovered the earth there and raised her up on the tusks of the boar. The boar carefully raised the earth and laid her to rest on the top of the water. The earth began to float like a gigantic boat. Since Vishnu raised the earth in the form of a boar at the beginning of the Kalpa, the present cycle is known as Varaha Kalpa. The story of the boar incarnation is rather summarily disposed of in the Kurma Purana. The other Puranas describe it as at great length. Apart from the question of raising up the earth from under the water, the story revolves around the demon Hiranyaksha. This demon was the son of the sage Kashyapa and his wife Diti. He defeated the gods and drew them out of heaven. In desperation, the gods started to pray to Vishnu. Hiranyaksha used to live under the water, and Vishnu entered the water in his form of a boar and killed Hiranyaksha. He also recovered the Vedas which had been stolen by Hiranyaksha. Creation continued. Brahma first created 5 sons through his mental powers. Their names were Sanaka, Sanatana, Sanananda, Kratu, and Sanat Kumara. These 5 sons became sages and did not have any offspring. Brahma therefore had to create some more beings so that the population of the universe might increase. But prior to that, he decided to perform tapasya. However, the meditation did not yield him any results, and Brahma became very angry and disheartened. He started to weep, and a teardrop fell on the ground. From this drop there emerged Shiva. Brahma bowed before Shiva and said, "Please create some living beings." This Shiva proceeded to do, but all the beings that Shiva created were mirror images of himself. That is, they were all immortal. "I beg your pardon," retorted Shiva. "That I refuse to do. Old age and disease are not objects that should be sought after. In fact, they are evil. I flatly refuse to create such evil." "All right then," said Brahma, "I will take care of creation myself. Please stop creating." The first objects that Brahma created were water, fire, the sky, heaven, Swarga, wind, rivers, mountains, oceans, trees, herbs, and time. Brahma next created 11 sons from his mental powers. Their names are Marichi, Brighu, Angira, Pulasya, Pulaha, Kratu, Daksha, Atri, Vasistha, Dharma, and Sankalpa. Thereafter, Brahma created 4 classes of beings. These were gods, demons, ancestors, and humans. The demons were born from Brahma's thighs, the gods from his mouth, the snake Sarpa, the Yakshas, and the ghosts, and the Gandharvas were born next. Cows were born from Brahma's stomach, and horses, elephants, donkeys, deer, camels, and mules from his feet. Herbs and trees emerged from Brahma's body hair. This account contradicts a more common account given in some of the other Puranas. In the more usual account, all beings are descended from the sage Kashyapa. Kashyapa married 13 of Daksha's daughters. These daughters were named Aditi, Diti, Danu, Kashtha, Arista, Surasa, Ila, Muni, Krodha, Vasha, Tamara, Surabhi, Sarama, and Timi. Aditi's offspring were the gods Adityas, Diti's the demons Daityas, Danu's offspring were of the demons Danavas, Kashita's children horses, Arishta's Gandharvas, Surasa's demons, Rakshasas, Ila's offsprings are trees and herbs, Muni, the Apsaras, dancers of heaven, Krodhavarshas, ghosts, Tamra's birds, Surabhi's cattle, Sarama's wild animals, and Timi's marine creatures. The Kurma Purana itself refers to this alternative account subsequently. To return to the present account of the Kurma Purana, Brahma thereafter divided his body into two. One half was male and other called Swayambhu Manu. The remaining half was female and was called Shatarupa. Manu and Shatarupa married and had 2 sons and 2 daughters. The sons were named Priyavrata and Uttanapada, and the daughters were named Prasuti and Akuti. Since all humans are Manu's descendants, they are known as Manavas. Prasuti married Daksha and they had 24 daughters. The Puranas are not all consistent about the number of daughters had. 13 of the 24 daughters were married to Brahma's son Dharma. Of the remaining 11, Khyati was married to Bhrigu, Sati to Shiva, Sambhuti to Marichi, Smriti to Angira, Priti to Pulasya, Kshama to Pulaha, Shanati to Kratu, Anasuya to Atri, Urja to Vasistha, Swaha to the fire god, Agni and Swadha to the ancestors.